Okay. Just let me know when we sort of get up there.
Live now on Substack.
Yay, we're live on Substack.
And YouTube.
Amazing. Amazing. And we have people filling in, even better. Yay. You got your super cow powers on there, Sarah?
I think so.
Okay.
I had to sign in. I got signed out everywhere.
Okay. Well, we're just sort of working it up here, so let's do that. I'm sending the. Oh, okay. Make sure that my AT prop is indicated. Okay, I'm announcing on Blue Sky that we've gone live for the readers there. Okay, well, let's go right into it. So I changed the format a little bit yet again for the live session. So this is more open discussion than it's question and answer. But I think this will work a little bit better. We'll just see what happens. So at introductions, I woke up at 7:47 or whatever the fuck time it was this morning, and I really I flipped through the news, looked at the weather, I do all that shit, and so I asked myself the proverbial question, what am I pretending not to know? And what happens when I stop pretending not to know that? That's today's visceral question. And so I'm not going to answer it right out. We're just sort of going to talk through what happened today and why and in what capacity. But so I quoted Bayard Rustin. We're not the ones that we've been waiting for. We're the change that we actually see. And when Rustin said this, he was a person of color and he was gay. He was erased from virtually every aspect of life that people could erase him from. And he said, we're not the ones. Not someday. Not the next administration. Not when the courts work it the fuck out. Now. We're at now. What the hell am I looking at? When did this happen in the movie? Everything that you see that's happening now is happening now. We're at now. We've passed that. We've way past that. And so the excavation that I take away from that is I want to tell you that what that resistance has actually looked like. And so it has looked like waking up on a Monday when the world is genuinely on fire because we're at war with Iran. Does anybody think we should be at war with Iran?
No.
Why not?
Why should we? They were bothering us. Come on now. They were not striking first at us. Even if they were making nuclear weapons, we don't have 100% case of that. I think they wanted to further destabilize the region, to, I guess, direct oil samples or vast oil amounts to, other places. United States-owned places, United States and Israel. I don't know if that's 100% true. I could be wrong.
Yes, that's true. That's actually very true. So the senator person, Luna, was interviewing with somebody yesterday and literally said, and I quote, Iran has killed many Americans. And the interviewer like basically said, how many Americans and where were killed by Iranians exactly? And Luna looked at the interviewer and was like, are you stupid? Do you not know? And he said, no, I just want you to tell me which Americans were killed by Iranians. Well, if you don't know, then I'm not going to answer that question. And, you know,
classic childish response.
And a dodge, you know, they're going to just try and dodge the question.
Right. Iranians have killed Americans.
We've killed more Americans in false flag operations than Iran has killed.
Well, I fucking agree with that. Holy shit, I agree with that. You know, the going motif joke around Blue Sky and the other social media spaces are, so Iran is a country that's killing its citizens, torturing its citizens, detaining its citizens, blah, 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 blah. Oh, gosh, no, I'm sorry. I was talking about America.
Right. It's like, who are we to criticize Iran for their, you know, crimes to humanity, crimes, while we're not looking at ourselves and saying the same thing, you know, or our administration. No.
That's exactly the point. Is the Ayatollah was not a good person, and yes, he tortured people, and yes, he should be sitting in The Hague in an ICC court, standing trial for his crimes. Does that mean that it was okay for Israel and the U.S. to bomb the shit out of Iran and kill him? I mean, I don't care what anyone says. Murder that is attempting to begat murder before that is not a solution to the problem.
Not at all.
Yeah, it just doesn't. So in Rustin's case, you know, he was erased from his own history, and he still kept going. So did Audre Lorde. So did Adriana, and every other queer and progressive writer. But he did the work in the dark, and he let that work itself be evident. So for me personally, and I want to hear each of your thoughts about this. I had years where that was all I had. Where the work that I was doing was the only real proof that I was here or that I was even present. And there's something, I guess, clarifying about that, even if you feel contained by it. Because when you strip away the recognition and the credit and the witness, you find out like what's really there. And so, you know, my Pixel Fed post this morning, some guy posted a Pixel Fed drop, which was him wearing a Sean Cody hat. And if you don't know, Sean Cody is like a premier gay pornographic progenitor of adult media or whatever. And he said, don't not represent. Don't not be yourself. Be yourself so where people can see it. And I told him, I'm like, every day that I get on the train to go to work, I wear a dress and I put my makeup on and I put my shoes on and I do this and I get all the hate looks and I get all the bad stares and I get all the negative comments. There's always that one person who walks up and says, that fit is really good on you and you should keep doing that. Or those boots are really cute as fuck. And they make the outfit and you should keep doing that. And so that's the thing that sort of was the rest of the experience for me. And so that then forces me to ask, what are you made of? You know, and what does it cost? Who wants to go first?
I will.
Oh, okay, great one.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, you know, being being so trans, being so loudly trans, being so outwardly trans, so that people can find you, so that people can be like, well, that person is doing it. That person is in the place that I want to be, and that person has survived. That person has faced their demons, the demons of society. When I came out, I lost everything. I lost my family. I lost all my friends except for one. And it was at that point that I didn't care. And I was going to lose them, or I was going to lose my life. I went through it. Um, and then the funny thing is, I started having people come to me directly saying, thank you for being visible, thank you for showing me what trans looks like. My brother-in-law transitioned. I've had two brother-in-laws transition. And just people associated with me who have transitioned, uh, one way, I shouldn't say one way or the other, but just have transitioned. And they do attribute that to me, and it makes me feel good, as it should, I think. But yeah, being so visible, that people can see you, people can be attracted to your aura, people can be in your orbit. Mm.
I mean, those are
Okay.
all, yeah, those are all completely valid points. I think that's part of the posture.
What were the questions again?
What are you made of, and what did it cost you?
Yeah, so like Onyx was saying, like being visible has drawn people to me. And it started as soon as I came out. Like when I came out, I did a big like Facebook post announcement thing, and that day I got like multiple DMs of people I've been friends with for years that were like, "Oh, I've been struggling with my dysphoria," or "I've been wondering if I'm trans," and like we started these conversations, um, and a couple of them have transitioned, and um, like being part of um, their journey it's an honor and it's humbling, um, but also I've had several of my friends who are cis women come to me and tell me that me embracing my femininity and my authenticity has helped them reevaluate their relationship with their gender, even though they're cis. And um, yeah, I love that.
That's happened to me too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I totally agree.
What am I made of? That was snips
Yeah.
and snails and puppy dog tails. I mean, what?
Oh my God, I haven't heard that since I was like 6.
I don't know who came up with. I mean, who's going around snipping off puppy dog tails to make people? I don't. This just seems odd.
I just I'll even help you nudge along. That's the thing. Rustin's charge from his statement is do the next true thing. So the question really is, what's the next true thing that you're going to do?
Next true thing. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what that. What is that? What does that mean?
Not the heroic
True
thing,
thing.
not the thing that would be remembered, just the next true thing.
I mean, I don't.
Go in the bathroom, sit down, and fart. Say I'm gay.
I mean, everything that I write has something of me in it, whether it's fiction or poetry or a or a satirical article. There's something true of me in it. So I guess that would be the next true thing that I would do. Well, as far as like kind of what Onyx Rose and Miranda were talking about, people giving you positive comments about they like the authenticity and that kind of thing. That's always nice. And the bad part is that some negative comments a lot of times stand out more. They kind of overshadow a lot of those positive ones, you know. I don't know why that is. Why that? Maybe it's from your negative core beliefs from when you were younger that it's easier to believe the negative comments sometimes. And it's kind of harder sometimes to accept the positive ones and believe them
Well,
as fully.
wouldn't that be because the critic that all of us have, that's the worst critic that all of us have, is the
Yeah.
one person that shouldn't be our critic, and that's ourselves.
Yeah.
I think
But,
that,
you know, I try to focus on the positive ones and ignore the others.
yeah, survival is having to protect yourself from negative comments. But I mean, shit, we take a lot of them, and it just happens. Wait, Sarah, have you met your person yet?
Oh my god. What am I made of? Stardust, just like everybody else, right?
Ah.
Gosh, really?
I think in terms of like the question about what it's cost me, though, I don't know that it's, for me in particular, at the stage that I'm at now, I would say that the list of things that it's cost me is significantly shorter than the things that I've gained.
Why would that be?
I don't know.
Because you have true like gay privilege or something?
Is that a thing?
I don't know, Brandon. Is gay privilege a thing?
I haven't found many of those privileges. Well, some. You know,
I would
guess
think
so.
it's a privilege. Yeah. To be outwardly gay, to be your true self. Yeah, it's a privilege. That's a privilege that people don't get.
I think I've been inordinately lucky in terms of having surrounded myself with people from the beginning that I have just been accepting.
I mean, there are people that don't have accepting spaces,
Right.
or people that accept them. They just don't. And having an accepting space is crucial. I mean, you build support networks as you go through that process. And the reason you build those support networks is because you need that to survive.
I was just really surprised to see how much of my family and friends were already very supportive. And how like my safety nets didn't really change too much. I mean, they were added too, but they didn't diminish as much as I anticipated.
I mean, that's a fair answer. That's a totally fair answer. That goes right into the core of the next element of the discussion, and that's silence. Adrian Rich, lying is done with words and also with silence. So the news came out that the federal government has not yet contacted Renee Good's family to apologize for shooting her and killing her, by the way. She was shot in her car in January. Her parents are in Mirandastown in Denver. You know, holding on to what she gave them because she knew. The president hasn't called. It's been nearly 2 months. We've all seen it. When is the administration going to take culpability? We killed your child. We're sorry we had to kill your child, but we killed your child. And so
they're never going to take culpability. They're going to keep calling her a terrorist. They're going to keep calling Alex a terrorist. They're going to keep calling Keith Porter a terrorist. Like, that's
right.
So I should point out that I was just gifted by another amazing woman, by the way. Give me a second. A lovely indicator. Hacktivists have claimed to have hacked the Department of Homeland Security to release ICE contract data.
Oh, yeah.
So in a vacuum, someone's going to come out on the other end and say, I'm fucking sick of this shit, and here's what's going to happen. And so they call the hacktivist group is calling themselves the Department of Peace. They've hacked the DHS to allegedly leak stolen documents, and the Transparency Collective, DDoS Secrets, published data related to the contracts between DHS, immigrations, and customs enforcement, ICE, and more than 6,000 companies, including defense contractors like Anduril, L3Harris, Raytheon, Palantir, and Microsoft and Oracle even are all implicated in that. So there are numerous companies that are literally complicit in the ICE thing. Oh.
We did manage to drive Palantir out of Denver, though.
Oh my God! Here we go. So here we go. I'm going to share this with everybody in the chat. Here are the companies and the award of their contract. So Underwriters Laboratory, they were awarded a $29 million contract. Auburn University, $23 million contract. Radiation monitoring devices, $17 million contract. Physical Optics Corporation, $13 million. SecureLogix, $10 million. I mean, we're talking just a crazy amount of money that I just dropped that into here. I'm going to drop it into all the chats. There's the ICE data for everybody to see and hear and understand. And so back to the survival discussion. So in Rich's case, she put it all on one line, and she was done. The whole architecture of complicity in a single sentence. It's not just what you say. It's what you don't say. It's what you allow your silence or someone else's silence to absorb and carry for you. And so you have to read that again. And so, for a long time, for myself personally, I thought that silence meant safety. Has anyone else felt that way, or is it just me?
Silence meant safety. Yeah, sometimes, sometimes in certain crowds, certain situations, yeah, silence definitely means safety. And you have to be smart about it. In certain places of certain cities, you just there are things you need to do, and sometimes silence is the best answer. It may seem weak when you look back on it and say, I should have spoken up, but I think safety is first, so you can then the next day or the next day, get your message out. But let's live first and then get the message out second, because we need someone
Right.
to live to get the message out. Yeah.
So I know Miranda is going to immediately know what I'm talking about when I say this, and that's why I'm going to put Miranda up at the top. Is this, and I want you to change my mind about this. I don't think you're going to. I think you're going to agree with me, but it's the most seductive silence, and it presents itself as wisdom. Don't poke the bear. Pick your battles. Stay in your lane. And that sensibility, the sensibility of that silence, it has good manners and it has reasonable arguments. It knows how you dress. It knows what you do. Do you disagree with that, Miranda?
No.
So I've sat. I personally have sat in that silence enough times to know what it costs, and what I know, what my body tells me, and what the years have deposited in me, like sediment flowing under a large ocean, is that the silence that protects you in the short term is almost always borrowing against someone else's exposure.
Yeah,
And
I can see that. So I have, like all of you, varying levels of social media presence and activism in those spaces. And I had a conversation with my mom a few months back where she was like, at first, when you started speaking out about being trans and all of the issues that the trans community faces, I was really worried for your safety. And now I realize that you do that because if you don't speak out, then no one else is going to speak out for you.
yeah, I think that's very true. When I was quieter about who I was, to make room for people's comfortability, the room was comfortable on my behalf as a result. And that transaction is completely invisible. And really, as difficult as that is, that's the brilliance of it. Nobody has to ask me for my silence. The social machinery extracts it automatically. I wouldn't have dragged the publication family into the Fediverse if that were the case. Because, yes, under corporate controlled media, my silence becomes a requirement, and it should be. And when I'm not vocal, that's when people come into these spaces, like our YouTube chat is right now. The liberal triggerer who is saying, "Look at those freaks." Okay. I mean, I hate to say this, but Sarah, did you take care of the liberal triggerer?
I could only do it through Restream,
Oh, okay.
so they've gotten blocked.
Okay. The liberal triggerer at one.
I feel 0% triggered. But
Right, you know.
Anybody else
seems
triggered
well
by?
bothered.
Yeah.
I feel like their mission in life has failed.
And miserably so.
Right. You're going to have to try a lot harder than that
Right.
to get under my
Right.
skin. I don't want anyone else to experience that. But yeah, so the social machinery extracts it, and you don't even feel the withdrawal. And the further thing is that Rich names it as lying, not cowardice, not self-protection. It is a lie. A sin of omission is itself a lie, and that's completely true. And I've had to sit with that. The way silences, the way certain silences I performed were not neutral. They just weren't. They were choices, and those choices had consequences and direction, and not trying to speak about shame. And speaking about the mechanics of it, because once you see the mechanism, you can't unsee it. Once you see the wizard behind the curtain who's turning all the dials and shit, then you're like, oh, okay, well, shit. So the news today is full of people whose silence is doing enormous work. A president who won't pick up the phone to talk to a family because his administration killed a person in that family. A Justice Department who sees no civil rights cases to investigate, yet there are hundreds of thousands of them. An entire apparatus of not saying. Their silence isn't passive. That's policy, and that's painful. And so, Rich's charge from that statement, be honest with yourself and with who you tell about what you saw, where you saw it, and why you saw it. That's not performance. That's not broadcasting. Just stop letting the silence do someone else's work for you. You start with one person. You start with yourself. And then you just grow outwardly from there. That's enough to start with it. And so now we're going to pick on Brandon. I want you to think about this because I actually constructed this question and I had to rewrite it like 8 times. What are you performing not knowing so someone else stays comfortable?
Wait a minute. What are you performing not knowing? Like
Knowing.
Performing, not realizing that I'm performing?
Exactly.
Okay.
I write really good introspective questions.
Well, your introspective questions take a while for me to
Process.
think about. Yes.
What do you stay silent about the most? Really, that's the body of the question. I don't think you do.
I don't know. I mean, there are things about my personal life that I don't talk about. Because nobody needs to know, really. So I don't know.
Really, you don't know?
I don't know.
I love to put you on the spot, Brandon. I really do. That's what makes your presence on the show so valid.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's contributing much right now.
Oh, we had a Pepe person come into the chat. I can tell none of you have ever had any type of fornication.
I saw that. Yeah. Wow.
Boy, you know what?
I missed it. I didn't see it.
Well, that's
his
he's
username.
really misreading the room here.
Oh boy. Oh, never had fornication? No. I've never had fornication. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, if you really want to get into it,
Right.
Well, his username was a dead giveaway. Juba Cadabra.
I thought it was Jubacabra.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Chupacabra.
Jubacabra. Wow, that doesn't. Macabre Tavern, thank you. Yeah, I'm pissed at Frog Boys. What do you stay silent about? I know what you stay silent about, Sarah. You haven't met your person yet. And you force me to write about it every day.
Huh.
What did I miss?
Oh, because you're doing administrative task.
Is that who's the dude at the bottom left? Is that supposed to be me?
No, that was
no,
from earlier, and I don't.
No, that was
Okay.
earlier. That was Miranda, and I was expecting Sarah to take care of my lightweight for me.
I did, but it doesn't show up in. I thought I did,
Oh, okay.
or Eileen did.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't remember what the question was because I've been
Oh,
working at the same time as I'm.
What do you perform silently that you probably shouldn't?
I mean, I guess I'm out of habit. I have a tendency to try to fly below the radar. So I'm probably not as visible as I should be.
Why would you not be as visible as you should be?
Like I said, it's habit. I mean, at work, it was kind of an achievement for me to be able to fly under the radar as long as I have. I mean, I've been with my current job for 18 years, and there's a lot of people that don't know me by name. They don't know what I do. They don't know what department I work in, and I prefer it that way.
You know, you would make an excellent security engineer. You would make an excellent info security engineer. That's the whole purpose of being an info security engineer. Is what does that person do? I have no idea. Okay. Until that becomes a liability, there is a moment where that does become a liability, and I love telling that story. And I have no problem telling that story at the end of the live. And I'm actually going to write a note to myself: tell the brag story at the end, because you'll all laugh about it. That's valid, Sarah. I mean, being under the radar, I've tried to do that for pretty much the entirety of my professional career. You know, I have to, but so you take those two questions, the synergy of the two of them together is, what are you becoming in the face of that silence versus that recognition? And so the anchor that I hung on that for this talk was the Greenpeace thing. So Greenpeace, an organization with $40 million of annual revenue, just received a $345 million verdict for standing on a prairie in the cold protesting. Greenpeace. I mean, is Greenpeace really that malignant of an organization? I feel like the answer is no. But that bill was designed to attempt to erase them. You know, there's a quote that's been living in my head since I reread Miranda's Advent letter, which I want you to talk about, Miranda, if you have the emotional headspace to do it, because I listed you as one of the heroes of the day. Let me backtrack. Let me go right to that. Right out in the legends of our time. So, Miranda, trans woman, wife, mom, poet, many other things, published an open Advent letter to the church that had been circulating for months because, you know, she stopped making the 12-hour holiday trip to her in-laws after a Christian man threatened to murder her in a gas station. And so she wrote an Advent letter anyway, and she published it. It was in the digest today. The one honest moment versus another. Do you mind talking about that, Miranda?
No, I can talk about it.
Okay, good, cool, because that's exactly the focus.
Yeah. So, as y'all all know, I'm an ex-evangelical, so I was part of the evangelical church for a long time. And then in my faith journey, I got out of that and then went to more progressive churches later on. And so one of the things that I appreciate about progressive churches is a lot of them are the mainstream denominations, the Episcopal Church, Methodist Church, Presbyterians, and so they follow the church calendar. So you have the different seasons of the faith and whatever. And so something I always, whenever I was in those spaces, I always appreciated Advent a lot, which is the season leading up to Christmas. And it's supposed to be, reflecting on the idea of Jesus being born and bringing hope to the world, right? And but since I've come out as a trans woman, evangelical Christians are my top source of threats and slurs and all of that stuff. So whenever Advent came around this past year, I decided, I would try to speak to the church directly. And so that's what I do in that letter. It's hey, it's Advent. This is what that has meant to me. Talk a little bit about growing up in the church, and then basically ask Christians for so-called Christian compassion, right? And I say so-called because we all know that they don't believe that compassion is something for everybody. They have this system of in groups and out groups and whatever, but I just tried to speak to them in their language, and seeing if I could make a dent and change a few hearts. And I don't know if I have, but the letter's been out there. It's been circulating. I actually sent it. It's an open letter, so it's posted on my blog. But I also sent it directly to several evangelical Christians that I know, and asked them to read it and think about it and pray about it. And I sent it to several churches that I have connections with, and so hopefully it had a positive impact on some Christians' view of trans people. So yeah, and I really the last line in the letter I'm proud of as a writer, but it's also like kind of where my I don't know, I guess where my theology is right now, in as much as I have any theology. I said, I hope you can find a place in your faith for a God who's creative enough to mold jars of clay like me.
God, that's so brilliant. I want to name something that never gets named enough. And by you saying that, you have literally, you couldn't have teed that up more beautifully. Especially when we're talking in survival conversations. And that is surviving changes you. Not inspirationally, not factorially, like literally changes you as a person. It deposits something. It builds in you a capacity that was not there before. And so, and sometimes you don't even know that. You're unaware that that capacity is there until you find yourself in a moment where you need it and it arrives. I personally have sat inside many years that I did not think I was going to survive. We talked about this in the last live session. I had my bridge picked out, and if I got low enough, I'd get in the car and go drive to the bridge, and then I would have to have a conversation with myself to talk myself out of it. Completely talk out of it. And so, what I found was slowly in the quiet that happened after was that something had been, we got Miranda back. Okay, there we go. Got you back, Miranda.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry.
Yay.
And so was that something had been built in going through that conflict. Not a callous, not a numbness, something more like muscle. The specific kind that only grows under resistance. So when I look at what they're doing to Greenpeace, while that's designed to erase an organization by making the cost of showing up larger than the capacity that they can handle, that's the strategy. Invoice the resistance into that silence. Rustin kept organizing after they completely erased him and made him go away. Adrienne Rich kept writing after they burned all of her books. Weiss, Miranda is still spreading this letter around to people. That's where that silence stops. And so then that begs the question, what is your anger making you do today? I mean, Brandon, don't you get angry, right? What do you do with it?
Well, you can turn it into something positive. A little over a couple weeks ago, I was on a video with a violently straight guy, as he put it. And
Violently straight.
I know. It's like, but there was somebody who commented on the video and was saying things about me, and he was going back and forth with the guy in the guy that I was interviewing. Laggy was his name. Laggy was going back and forth with this guy, and well, I only read his first comment, and then I went to his profile, and it said Jesus lover, and be kind and educate yourself, and I don't know, a couple other things. And I'm like, his comments were like, the complete opposite of what he proclaims to endorse. And I basically put his words back at him. I said, your profile says this, and you're not acting like this at all. And then he retorted, and I stopped. I'm like, oh, this is pointless. And so then I wrote an article about it, published it last week, and I didn't name the guy. I didn't tag him because I was in the article. I said my goal isn't to tag him and get a bunch of people to block him or whatever. And I said, well, partly because he only has 150 subscribers, bless his heart, and he claims to be blocked by Chris Best and a bunch of other Substackers. It's like it's a badge of honor.
He's so persecuted.
I know.
We'll fight the machine.
It's ridiculous. But in the article, I said, well, I quoted, I can't remember the guy's name, but the one that's attributed to the quote that says, living well is the best revenge. And I said, well, if I get a paid subscriber out of this, it'll be worth it, and I did. So
I have a question. I want to know how you won a CEO seat by using toddler tactics.
Basically, you just say, no, I don't want it.
Because I have to tell you, I read that before I dropped it into the digest today.
Yeah.
And the whole thing just tickled me. I mean, completely. It was, if nobody has read it, so I had an annual meeting with my boss to discuss a raise. What he proposed was less than I expected. No, I simply said. No, he repeated. No, I said again, slightly louder and more emphatically. I'm sorry, but he began blinking heavily. No, I shouted. You want more? So after I got to that point in the story, I just started laughing and I couldn't stop.
Well, you should listen to the audio. I did a voiceover for it, so it'll give you a better idea of what it's supposed to sound like.
But I had a cousin who regrettably died on September 11th in 2001. I don't need to tell you what from because you immediately know. And the thing about my cousin Adam was that, like, we always knew it was going to be something way out there, like way the fuck out there that, like, we were going to get a call one day Adam was on this mountain in East China and he fell off of it and it killed him, and none of us were going to be shocked. Because this kid at the age of 26 had climbed Everest 3 times. He did all this crazy shit. When his brother got married to a Turkish woman, he took a month off before the wedding, went out to Istanbul, absorbed the culture for that month, and then when we all got there, walked up to us in a white suit with the red fez hat and lit, good day. And I went, Adam, is that you? Yeah, I've been here for a month. I know where everything is. We're going to have a blast. So, but that mentality, your mentality from that article immediately put Adam into my head, because he would tell you, like, if you go in for an interview, just answer every question of will you do X with the words fuck yes. And so, like, I was like, really? He's like, yeah. Will you work weekends? Fuck yes. Will you work for this much money even though I could pay you this much money later? Fuck yes. And literally, if you do that, it doesn't matter what the fuck the position is, they'll give it to you because you are showing a willingness to take extra steps. Which, strangely,
that's what actors are supposed to do when they audition for roles. Can you ride a horse? Yeah. Never ridden a horse in their life.
So yeah, I mean, the willingness. I hate to use, a cheesy Nolan Batman quote, but the willingness to act in the face of a difficult situation, and whether or not you have the willingness to act in that capacity. What does it mean as a trans woman in Kansas right now? Well, one, you just got your license revoked. But within days of that happening, which I think is really cool, Lyft deployed the code TransJoy for 50% off rides through the 9th of March so that people that don't have their license anymore could get where they need to get to try to fix the situation. What the fuck does that say?
Right. It's a sad state of affairs, sad state in our nation's history, in our country's history, in our states, in the state's history. It's ridiculous. Like, they really are trying to exterminate a whole 1% of the nation, or however big we are, 4%, 1%, I don't know.
So Onyx, I don't want to touch on a sensitive topic, but I feel like I have to, and if this is sensitive to you, I apologize way in advance. But how does that happening in Kansas not take us back to 1960 and one person using a fountain versus another person having to use a different fountain? One person having to use an entrance to get into a public building versus another person having to use an entirely separate entrance to go into that building. I will say this. There is a theater in downtown Marietta in Cobb County called The Strand. And it's a beautiful theater. It's really old. They show movies and they do concerts and shit in there. But here's the thing about that theater. For many, many years, and still to this day, that theater has its person of color only entrance still there.
I did not know that.
Yes, they have marked it as an exit, but those that are old enough to remember back from the time of the 40s, 50s, and 60s know that was the person of color entrance to that theater. So by ostracizing the trans community, how the fuck are we not going back to that? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to understand. And I don't. Can someone tell me? Because I don't understand why we're backtracking to that mentality.
The hysteria around trans people has grown only because the machine has pushed it. You know, the people in positions we don't necessarily know about or that we now know about have created this hysteria, this mass hysteria, to the point where trans people are like black people in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You know, like the history is repeating itself. But this time, instead of black people, it's with trans people. Same, you know, same. I will. Okay, I won't say same because it's not necessarily the same. You know, thousands of years, well, not thousands, but hundreds of years of enslaved people and such is a little bit different than what we're talking about now. But in a lot of ways, it's not. And, you know, if we continue going this way, it's not going to be that different. Right now, it's not. It's scary in a lot of parts of the country. Kansas being one of the big ones, Florida, Texas, you know, we can name them all. Being trans in those states are, you know, can literally get you killed. You know, now Kansas, you know, the whole bounty hunter bill, you know, this is something that's going to get people killed. Um, you know, and I don't think they care about that. Same with segregation, same with racism. You know, back then they don't care. They didn't care about that. And here's the thing: they have pictures about that. Like, let's just jump to Emmett Till, the lady who, you know, said about Emmett Till that he did this. That, you know, and then of course he didn't, and we have her picture. I think she's dead now, but you know, of course, she lived for a long time after. It isn't that long that she's been dead, if she even is dead. You know, but the point is they never tried her. You know, all this time that's gone by, they knew who she was, they knew she lied, they didn't try her. My fear is that this is going to be the same in the trans community, mass, you know, unless we take care of it soon. Well,
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. I should point out that in Texas, Ken Paxton has declared that statewide in the state of Texas it is now illegal for mental health providers and therapists to affirm trans youth.
Yeah, he's declared it child abuse and is mandating conversion therapy.
oh my god.
But yeah, to like riff off of what Onyx Rose was saying, know the like situation of um, enslaved people in this country and like the situation that trans people face isn't the same, but a lot of the techniques that the powers that be are using are the same.
Yes.
You know, the separate bathrooms back then, it was the same kind of like, well, they're going to get in the bathroom and harm your children. Like they're inherently predatory because of their race, and so it's um, you know, a lot of the like that propaganda is the same. A lot of the legal mechanisms are very similar, where the things that they're going for at this stage of the trans G side is removing our legal personhood. So whenever you know, strip people of their identification, removing their legal personhood, and once you do that, then those people don't have the rights that persons do under the Constitution. So yeah, just throwing that in there.
And
No,
then when go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that's a brilliant analysis. Um, you know, that's the thing that makes you say the Jericho Brown thing. What hurts so much that you have to turn it into fire to make it useful? You were going to say, Onyx, please.
I was going to go off Miranda, but I forgot, so I'm sorry. It just like goes right through my brain. So
It strikes me that it's all about control.
Why?
Well, I mean, that's the similarity that we haven't talked about yet between what's going on now and what's going on then. It's they're controlling a group of people. They are stripping people of rights. They are limiting what they can and can't do, threatening to imprison people, dehumanizing people. That's the similarity, is that it's doing all these things to exercise control. Not that I'm not saying that it's right that they're trying to exercise control, but it's like that's the goal.
It's 100% right. No, I think so. To make people look so bad that that control is the only way. Like these people, this group of people is so bad that we have to control them. We need this control over them.
Controlling through fear.
Yeah.
Of the people and through those people's fear.
Right.
Well,
I mean, here's the thing. Going away from talking about being a trans woman, look at Patricio Manuel. He's a trans guy, and he came out as the first transgender boxer, and he went into the ring and fought against cis heterosexual guys. And by the way, I want to be very clear, beat the fuck out of all three of the people in 2 or 3 rounds, like 3 rounds or less, beat the snot out of them and walked away virtually unscathed. And so, how could cis het people not be threatened by that? Good, be threatened by it. Be totally threatened by it. I was watching a video one night, and there's a trans guy who was a Navy SEAL who literally said, I want to watch some MAGA fucker walk up to me in the guy's bathroom and say, you don't belong here. Really? Let's have a chat. I mean,
Navy SEAL versus Gravy SEAL.
I have to tell you, that's the one thing I miss about TikTok is that because I've sworn off of TikTok utterly because of the tracking algorithm that's going on there now. And I've about sworn off of shorts. The thing I miss is like all of the people that were posting Steven Seagal beating people up videos, because then I could just comment on those. Gravy SEAL, enter the buffet. Gravy SEAL, hard to starve. Those kinds of rationales. That's the thing that I miss about the hilarity of that. But then, I go to my loop server and I look at my loop server and I'm like, okay, there's content here that I can watch. Of course, right now, half of the content on that loop server is content I've created, but with you guys that I could not do without all of you guys, clearly, and girls. But the sloppiness of social media is it's a fun place, but yeah. Navy SEAL versus Gravy SEAL, I would totally pay to see that fight. I watched one of Patricio Manuel's fights. They're on YouTube. Holy fucking shit. No, I don't want to get in a fight with that person. I definitely don't. But so that's why the establishment's afraid of it. That's why the establishment feels threatened. Well, with that, I'll lead into my closing, but My closing is pretty weak sauce today, so don't hate me. But all of this makes me think of the thing that I have to do next. And the thing that I have to do next, one small, specific, real thing differently because of this conversation is I'm going to break the silence and try to talk to someone. For myself, I am probably going to regret this, but I'm going to try to call my brother and talk to him. My brother and I hate each other very viscerally. And the last time that he and I were in the same relative space together, we beat the shit out of each other, and I walked away with a broken nose. You know, but just break the silence. I mean, stop letting the not saying to do work of not knowing what I don't know. One phone call could just correct that. Will it end well? Probably not. But that ends the silence. And that attempts to break the cycle. You know, that's the thing. Don't be quiet. I never have to ask Brandon not to be quiet because I know Brandon's not going to be quiet. He's going to write something. I'm going to read it. It's going to be fucking hysterical and funny and point to some relative portion of my life that I believe is true. Oh, and then I should tell the brag story. So this is a professional story. So I was a network security professional at a company years ago. And Sarah, quit fucking with the camera, Sarah. I was working the network security team. So there was a guy on one of the other lateral teams, like the network engineering team. And his name was, we'll just say his name was Bragg. And like every 3 or 4 or 5 months, Bragg would go from one team to another, and he would go around teams because he wouldn't stay on one team for longer than 6 months. And so about, I would say, like a month before he left the company and quit, because that's what it took to get rid of him, we were all in this outage for a major pipeline product. And Bragg was sitting in the room. I was sitting in the room, and my friend Andy was in the room, and my friend Emily was in the room, and we were all yelling and screaming at each other over who's was responsible for the outage happening. And it wasn't my fault, and I was screaming at Andy, and Andy was like, "It's not my fault," and he was screaming at another guy, and the whole time, Bragg is literally sitting there and doing nothing. He's not even cracking a smile, breaking a face, nothing, just dead silence. And so, about 10 minutes into the argument, he literally jumps up and screams at the top of his lungs, "You guys are stressing me out. I'm going to walk away." And he walks out of the room, and then all of us go dead silent. And my friend Andy looks at me and goes, "Do you know what he does?" And I'm like, "I have no fucking idea what he does." And then Emily's like, "I don't know what the fuck he does. I had him on my team for 3 months. He didn't do anything." And then my friend Bob is like, "Yeah, we had him on the team for 5 months. I have no idea what the fuck he did. He didn't do anything." And so Andy and Emily and I went up to our friend in human resources and said, "How does he lasted as long as he had?" "Oh, because nobody has the balls or the guts to fire him." And I'm like, "Why not?" And they're like, "Because if he were to get fired off the team, they wouldn't get a backfill to replace him." So they just kept shifting him around until he learned that he wasn't going to be successful and left the company. But that's the thing. That lesson teaches you that silence is not how you want to be. You know, Bragg could just have easily have said, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help here. And people would have helped him. He didn't. And so he just kept island hopping in the company until, you know, it became relevant or whatever. But it never became relevant. And then he just left the company. And again, nobody would fire him because they wanted a warm body that would contribute positively in that situation. And firing him would make that not possible.
So it sounds like he was a closeted bisexual. He kept switching teams without saying anything.
Say that again, Brandon. You were quiet at the first.
I said he sounds like a closeted bisexual. He keeps switching teams without saying anything.
Brandon, we're not going to engage in bi erasure. No bisexual erasure in this conversation. You know, Lincoln was bi, right?
Heard that.
Yeah, silence sucks. It really does. Silence is a piece of shit. Yeah, that's the moral of the story of silence is don't be silent, because when you're silent, that means you get shuffled around until you finally learn I'm not going to be successful and you go and do something else or whatever. Does anybody have any comments?
On the story or the being silent?
Either. Have at it.
I would say, okay, so for myself, I tend to work in silence. Like for my mental health, that's not the silent part because it's way out loud. And there's nothing I can do about that. I feel like I work in silence in the sense that I build networks of people. I do that silently. It's not large gatherings. It's not large mass people meet and greets, but it's one on one on one on one on one. And yeah, so sometimes I think silence is good. It doesn't have to be something that I'm necessarily shutting myself off from, but more offering myself on a more personal level, one by one.
Yeah, I understand that. I completely agree. Dark Horse, I would tell you that Bragg. Somebody told Dark Horse Bragg. That was the thing. So Dark Horse said, so if he wouldn't have walked away, Bragg would still be there. But if he would have stayed silent, he would still be there. And the answer is maybe. Although I don't know, Bragg had pretty much burned like every bridge possible. Oh, here was the other takeaway. My friend Joe told me while Bragg was on his team, the reason that they shoved him out was because he was running like game servers from his server farm at home or whatever. And so what he was doing at work was administering to those. And that's how he was making money on top of working for the company and not doing any work. So he was double dutying. And so whenever people double duty, I have like a huge problem with that. If you're working a professional job, you should focus on your professional job, not your side gig or whatever. Versus what
My wife has had to fire several people who were using company servers to do crypto mining.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, yeah, I'm one of the tech people. I have access to these servers, so I may as well use them for my own purposes.
Which is bullshit. You get caught doing that, you've dug your own grave there. I agree 100%. All right, well, cool. So everybody good for Friday at 1?
Yep.
I will warn everybody, I am going to work diligently on the new infrastructure for the new live sessions. So I'll have that all worked out. But Brandon, I may ask you at random times to join a random video conferencing call just so I can see if my changes are working or not, because you seem to be the one that was most affected by it. You and Onyx both. But with that, I will tell everybody thank you to my co-hosts, Sarah and Brandon and Miranda and Onyx for coming. As always, I can't do this without you guys, and I'm thankful for that tremendously. And I am thankful to everybody that's actually watching the live. Please subscribe to all of my friends' work. And if you don't know where that work is, go to thistleandmoss.com and click on the little network link, and everybody's resources are there. You can easily find who you want to read and in what capacity you want to read it. I will warn you, if you read Miranda's stuff, it'll make you emotional and shit. It does me every time I read something that she's written.
I make people cry for a living.
Yeah. I said no poet ever in their life. I mean, ever. Walt Whitman, right. He didn't elicit any emotions. I mean, aside the fact that he was gay, but
No.
which meant he was very in touch with his feelings, which I was very appreciative of. But regardless, okay, cool. Well, anyway, so thank you everybody for coming to the show today. Thank you to my co-hosts who, without any, this show is not possible. Be safe out there. Do good things. Don't be silent. Don't be quiet. If you see something, call it out and tell people to sit down and shut the fuck up. It's so much better than not saying anything. Anyway, till next time.